Hello, beautiful light-filled souls. My name is Trisha Barker, and today I'm going to continue with some of the questions that people have asked me about the afterlife. And one question that really gave me pause and made me think for quite a bit was a question about what does the other side say about aggressive pain control or either terminal patients who end their life before the great suffering or before the end, and does this interfere with their being as a full incarnation of their being and transitioning on. I think from what I know from the other side, God is enormously compassionate, and nature is compassionate too at the end. Doctors often say this, ER doctors say this, that there is great compassion in those last few moments. We're not always fully aware of everything that we're experiencing on that physical level. We're already starting to transition out of form. But I don't think that we should frame this question in terms of, is it right or wrong? So should you hang on and not take morphine or take morphine? It probably depends on the individual. I watched my father transition out of this life, and he actually chose not to take morphine. And it was very interesting to watch his moments of being lucid and his moments of not being lucid. But that was his choice, and he was a really tough guy. I don't know if I'm going to make that choice, but I do know that God meets us in so many different areas of our life, that if you think of your life as like this accordion that's opening up, and maybe in these creases you have this deep fear or guilt, or you feel you've been judged in certain ways, God just has this way of flowing into our lives and erasing all of that on the other side. I felt so much compassion and so much love, almost as if I was a child at all moments of my life. And every mistake that I had made, every moment that I had chosen something out of pain was forgiven instantly, and I was deeply comforted. And I think compassion is something that we can bring into our own lives in this life. I know I look around the world often and I see so many people filled with envy, especially on social media. You look at Facebook or Instagram, and I just get this energetic sense that people are sometimes deeply saddened by observing what people have when they don't have this. And I've seen this in a number of people. And one thing that I think is very important is at the end of life. So at the end of your life, or at the moment of a near-death experience, all anger turns into deep compassion. All envy, all jealousy turns into complete freedom and complete love, because life is long. And one thing that you realize when you look at any life is even a life with the greatest achievements and the most amazing moments in it also usually has a mirrored effect of loss or pain on the other flip side of that. And if you look at any life and its completion, you see that there's so much room for compassion, and there's so much room for this love of God to come in. So I would say just have compassion for the dying, and have compassion for their choices, and love them with that love that you know is real and you know comes from the divine. And that's my answer to that particular question. I had another really good question, which I might have to read some of this, but someone asked, at the end of life, usually visitations are from family members, but what if you've done your psychological work and you feel completed with family members? Or what if you had abusive family members who you don't want to see at the end of life? I think you might see them. I think that there might be great forgiveness on the other side, because there is this great disconnection from physical form. And I think it was Dr. Party who talked about that. His father was abusive, and in his near-death experience, he experienced great love and great peace and great completion with that relationship. And his soul plan laid out in a certain way in the afterlife made so much more sense to him. There is a very strong bond between our biological ties to our parents and to our children, and I think that it's common that love is felt in that way. But I also do believe and know I have a pre-birth memory of friends who I flew around with in the afterlife, and this is before birth, but we were like ribbons of light, and we just crossed one another. And one of these friends has transitioned on, and I'm beginning to get small messages from him, but he says definitely he was greeted by so many people that he didn't even know in this life. So people that he knew in other lives, and people who he just had a brief interaction with and had transitioned on, and he had no idea that they'd transitioned on. So he was such a loving being who gave love in so many different ways, and he was greeted by these people as if it was a great big party. And in life, he was very much like that. He threw the most amazing parties, so his afterlife experience is one that's just like a great big party. And tears are coming to my eyes right now as I think about this, because I do sense him in that place. So to answer that question, yes, we are generally greeted by family members because we've spent so much time with them, and we have this deep biological tie to them in this way that's profound. But many people have been adopted and have very profound, loving relationships with their adoptive family, and you can't say that only this biological tie is the only tie that we have at these end-of-life visitations. That we may be met with by friends, we may be met by teachers, we may be met by many people who gave us love. And I love the stories of people who are also met by pets, because it is love that gives us comfort. So if that love comes in a healing form, then perhaps that's part of what you will experience, but it may be individual, and it may be mysterious, and it may be right just for you. And that's what I think you should have faith in, is that whatever is going to make you feel more loved and more complete is probably what you're going to experience in that place. So, two very good questions. I really am grateful for these questions, and I hope that you continue to send them to me. Thank you very much, and may you be blessed.